don't care how clean you are. White, wash, whatever the case may be, it's still gonna have a funky smell. Hey Simplies, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Michelle, also known as Simply Shell. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to click the bell so you're notified whenever I upload a new video. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing 10 female hygiene tips and tricks that you need to know. As women, I feel like we have to go through so much, and I feel like it's just so unfair because men don't go through half the things that we go through. And I feel like, especially with the genitals, and we're gonna call it the cootie cat, I feel like with our cootie cat, we go through so many different things, and there's so many do's and don'ts, and sometimes we're not properly educated, and that's why we end up with certain type of things. So today I'm going to talk about them, and I'm just going to give a disclaimer before we start. I'm not a doctor. I am not an OBGYN. These are just things that I learned through my experience. Let's jump right into it. Tip number 1. Avoiding tight jeans. Now, I had to learn this the hard way. I was a little younger. I was into just wearing the skinny jeans. I still wear the skinny jeans, but it just had to be tight. If my jeans were baggy in the crotch, baggy a little bit in the butt area, I wasn't gonna wear them. But I did realize that when your jeans are too tight, think about how long you're wearing them throughout the day. And the dye that's in the jeans can sometimes come off and irritate the vaginal area. So you want to make sure that when you're wearing jeans, it's okay for your jeans to be snug, but you don't want them to be cutting, you know, in between your legs, which can cause irritation. You want to make sure that whatever jeans that you have on, you're not just like restricting the airflow, because think about somebody cutting off our windpipe and we can't breathe. That's the same thing that's happening to the cootie cat. And when it can't get air, bacteria is just gonna marinate, and then we're gonna have a bigger issue, and then we're gonna be scratching, we're gonna be itching. Ain't nobody got time for that. So if you like your jeans to fit you tight, you can get you some jeggings. They're very stretchable, or get you some leggings. Or if you want to wear the tight jeans, just make sure that in between it's not too snatched. Tip number 2, no thongs. If you wear a thong, I'm not here to bash or judge anybody, but thongs are just not my thing. They are not my forte. I just can't get down with it. I don't like the way it makes me feel. They make me feel like I have a wedgie. Like something's playing around with me all day back there, and I'm not with all of that. Yes, sometimes thongs are very necessary when you're wearing certain clothing because you don't want the panty line to show. And yes, I'm really big on that. I can't stand that. But think about this. You're wearing thongs. Not only is it the fabric cutting in between, but it's also cutting in the back area as well. So think about the bacteria that comes from your rectum that can possibly get pushed to the front because you're walking all day, and that can cause a lot of bacteria. If any of that bacteria from the back gets into the front, it can definitely cause an infection. So my advice to you is, if you're gonna wear any type of thongs, make it be a short temporary thing. The only time you're gonna catch me wearing one of them thongs is when it's an event, and I know that they coming right off. I tried it, and now I avoided it because I felt like I had irritation all day. Even when I took it off, I still was irritated. Now let me ask you something. When you take that thong off from wearing it for 6 to 8 hours or however long you got it on, you mean to tell me that when you smell that thong, it don't smell like doo-doo? I don't care how clean you are, it's still gonna have a funky smell. And think about that scent coming from your back area, coming up in your front area. That's why it's a no for me, period. Tip number 3. Be careful when douching. Douching is not something that's really good. I understand that sometimes us women don't like the way we smell down there, so we kind of want to give our bodies a cleanse. But our bodies naturally cleanse itself, and douching too much can definitely disrupt your pH and throw it off. And also it can strip the vagina, so you don't want to do that. I feel like the body's going to naturally cleanse itself out. That's what happens when we go through our menstrual cycle, when we go through ovulation and we experience any type of like discharge. The body's always going to flush itself out naturally. So try not to douche like that. If you do, try to keep it really minimal. Tip number 4, try to avoid scented soaps and gels when washing, because like I said, the body doesn't need all of that, a lot of fragrance that can cause irritation in the vulva. And also when you're cleansing yourself, be careful not to apply the washcloth or whatever it is that you use like inside of because that can cause irritation. You basically just want to cleanse, you know, the inner. You don't want to get all the way inside, because if you leave soap inside, that can cause irritation. So when you're washing, you kind of want to just use soaps that are unscented. My favorite that I use is Dove, and I always get the unscented kind because Dove is very gentle. I even use use it on my kids or whatever. So that's something that won't irritate the vulva as you're washing. Also, you can use feminine wash. I love feminine wash. That's really, really good. And another one that's great is Vagisil pH Balanced Daily Wash. And it's really, really good. It's gentle. It has like a nice refreshing smell and it gets the job done. Don't get crazy with the soap because, you know, we always want to smell good. Putting too much soap down there can definitely harm you. It's not going to help you. Thank you. And another thing I want to mention is be careful when you wash your clothes. Now, I know we all like to wash our clothes. We want to make sure that we have that nice fresh scent. But if you put too much laundry detergent, that can cause an irritant as well. Because, again, when you have your undergarments on, your panties on throughout the day, as you sweat and you move, the fragrance from the detergent can definitely get inside and cause an irritation and cause fungal infections. Tip number 5, you want to always make sure that you keep that cookie, that cootie cat, whatever you want to call it, because I feel like we all got a name. I call it a cootie cat. But you want to always make sure that you keep yourself dry down there. And you also want to make sure you wear cotton underwears because that helps you to stay dry. Too much moisture can cause yeast and it can create fungal infections such as thrush. Sometimes women are very, very moist down there. And so it's hard for you to, dry the area up. But you want to kind of pat yourself dry with like a clean wipe throughout the day and just always make sure that down there is dry. Tip number 6 is sleeping without any underwears. And I know that may be weird to some of you guys because you're like, oh my god, that feels so weird. How do I do that when I have my menstrual? Of course, when you have your menstrual cycle, of course you will have to sleep with them, but for the most part, when you don't, it's really good to sleep with no underwears at night. It's good to let it air out. It's good to help it breathe. Sleeping with panties can sometimes cause yeast and bacteria. And bacteria thrives in dark, warm, moist places. So it's all right to just let your legs cock open real quick and just breathe, especially if you're single and you're by yourself. Ain't no shame in that. And if you feel like, well, I'm always moist, or I feel like I'm gonna have some type of discharge, whatever the case may be, you can just put a pad underneath you or whatever and just let it breathe, sis. Tip number 7 is avoiding razor bumps and ingrown hairs. That sometimes is really, really hard. I know as for myself, I haven't really experienced that too many times. I can say maybe once or twice I have. A tip on preventing that is making sure that you always use a brand new razor. Like, don't be lazy. Sometimes we just, after we're done shaving, we leave the razor in our shower and we forget about it and we just jump and do it, especially if we're pushed for time. But you always want to make sure that you're using a brand new razor because bacteria definitely will set in, especially if you're just leaving it sitting around and you don't put the cover back on it. That can definitely cause any type of infection. You want to make sure that the razors that you do use are never dull. It's okay to spend a little bit more money on a razor. Sometimes we on a budget, but when it comes to the cootie cat, sometimes you gotta pay top notch. So don't ever use a razor that's dull because that can definitely cause razor bumps because it's dull and it's not, smooth as you do it. And another thing is when you're shaving, you want to make sure that you're going in the same direction, but you don't want to make sure that you're shaving repeatedly in the same direction because that can also cause irritation. In the event that you do develop any ingrown hairs or razor bumps, you want to make sure that you just apply aloe on it. Aloe is very healing and soothing, so it should definitely go away in a couple of days. And just make sure to keep the area nice and clean. And you also want to make sure that before you shave, that you always apply some type of shaving cream or some type of slippery substance so that when you're doing it, you're not like ripping your hairs off. Another tip I can mention is if you have like, a whole bush going on down there. So sometimes in the wintertime we get a little bit lazy, and we just leave it and let it get crazy. You want to make sure that you use scissors first because it'll help the shaving process be faster and you don't have to be there for days going through different layers and stuff like that. So get you a pair of sheer cutting scissors and you can cut first before you start to shave. Tip number 8 is panty liners. Now, a lot of times I didn't know this. I would wear panty liners and I was not changing them as frequently as I should have, and that is not a good thing because think about it. We wear panty liners because of sometimes we have discharge, sometimes we're at the end of our menstrual cycle and we want to make sure that we don't mess up our undergarments. But if you do have to wear panty liners, you want to just make sure that you're consistently changing it throughout the day. And sometimes we do forget because we're on the go and we can't really tell because we're just not always focusing on that. But you want to constantly change it throughout the day. You never want to let your panty liner get saturated because that's when yeast and infection can sit. Because think about it, you're just sitting in a whole bunch of BS. Bring a couple of them in your pocketbook or whatever so that you don't forget. Whenever you use the restroom, just boom, bam, boom, change it and keep it moving. Tip number 9, dryness. So if you're somebody who's suffering with dryness down there, I I'm not even gonna share with y'all. There are so many different methods that you can try the natural way. There's different lubricants that can help you so that you don't get irritation, especially when having intercourse, and it won't interfere with that and cause discomfort. So there's different lubricants that you can try. You wanna make sure that you're going the natural way. So you wanna check, you want to look at the ingredients and make sure that they're water-based lubricants. You can try glycerin lubricants, and you can also go with silicone lubricants. Just steer clear of lubricants that have flavor, sweet things, that's even down to like using like protection. You don't want to use any type of protection that has the flavorful effect to it, because anything that contains sugars can definitely dry you out faster, which then will cause irritation, and then the whole party shut down. If you're prone to yeast infections, then I would steer clear away from glycerin lubricants, because the compound can irritate the vagina and kill the good bacteria, which then will cause the irritation. Silicone lubricants last the longest, and they don't need to be reapplied as often as water-based lubricants. Tip number 10, diet. Now, diet is a really big thing, because a lot of times us women be trying to get all dolled up and try to make ourselves smell and feel and taste good. But I'm here to tell you that the vajayjay, the cootie cat, whatever name you have for her, it's not gonna smell like roses. It's not gonna smell like candy. That's just not what it is. Every woman's body is different. Every woman has a different smell. Like, a vagina is always gonna have some type of smell. Now, if your kitty cat smelling like fish in a garbage truck, then you need to go to the doctors. But as women, we have that smell. We all have like this smell to our body. It's kind of hard to explain, but you can definitely tell the difference between your regular scent and when something's wrong and when you need to go see a doctor. But diet plays a big part in how your body will smell, or whatever the case may be. And it has to do with eating vegetables, eating a lot of fruits. I've been told, and I've actually read it, and I've actually tried it myself, that eating pineapples can definitely increase or give it a better, you know, a little zing, a little, all right. Make it more delightful for when you are with your partner. So eat a lot of fruits. Eat a lot of fruits, you know what I'm saying? Fruits is good for our body anyway. So we are what we eat. So if you're eating a whole bunch of like candy, sugary things, and a lot of processed foods, a lot of meats, then you can expect your body to basically taste like that, because we are what we eat. It's good to try eating a lot of yogurts. Yogurts are good for, they help with yeast, and also incorporating a probiotic. Probiotics are really good. They put good bacteria into our bodies, so that then will help the whole body. So not only is the organs feeling good, but the kitty cat is going to be well taken care of too. And last but not least, of course, you want to drink a lot of water. Also, cranberry juice is good. Cranberry is another good thing for when you have like a urinary tract infection, but it's also good, you know, to flush the kidneys out and make sure that your body's working good too. So that's it. Okay, hope I gave you guys enough to take with you for today. Hope you got some knowledge for today. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, but these are the things that I learned throughout being a woman. Y'all know we go through a lot. We always got something going on. If it ain't one thing, it's another. But when it comes down to the cootie cat, we gotta always make sure she's up to par, okay? Period. There's no slacking in that. So I hope this video was helpful. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe if you have not already subscribed, and I'll see you guys in my next video.